Hey there, everybody. It is Samara Michelle Days, and I just wanted to talk to you today about setting achievable goals. Now, I talk about setting goals all the time. I think they're important. I think that most of us set goals for our business and we are prepared to try to achieve them. But I think oftentimes there's some things that we don't do. Like we don't always write them down, even though we have a goal in our head, and often we don't make them measurable and achievable. And so I wanted to talk to you today about 5 steps that will help you actually achieve your goals and some ways to actually set them so that they're achievable. And so the first thing you want to do is evaluate your current situation and determine exactly where you are. And some people do this by doing a SWOT analysis or doing surveys. Many companies have set ways that they record their statistics and they look at all of their data. But you don't have to go that deep. You can pull up a SWOT analysis on Google and figure out your strengths and your weaknesses and your opportunities and your threats. But you can also just write down where you are. You can write down some statistics about your sales and how many people you've been in contact with. And if you're new, you can just talk about how much time you've had or how long you've had this dream and just evaluate exactly where you are. You can think about how much time you're spending on task or who your customers are. Just kind of brainstorm and evaluate just where you currently find yourself in the landscape, because that's going to be important to be able to look at that evaluation and then set some goals. Step 2 is to create fantasy goals. Now, this is the part that's really hard for people because we don't really live in fantasy. And many entrepreneurs, we are a little cynical and we think about what we can't do more than what we can do. But it's important for you to just create your best case scenario. Create your fantasy goals, what you want to see happen in a year, what you want to see happen in 3 years, what you want to see happen in 5 years. This is not the place to say whether you can or can't do it or any of that things of that nature. You get to choose whatever it is so you can be as fantastic as you want to be, because until you really set your sights on what you actually want out of this, it won't be achievable. So you have to make sure that you're on target for what you really want and what's going to keep you in the game. So set those fantasy goals. Again, think about how much time you want to spend. If you only want to work 4 hours a day, if you only want to work 2 hours a day, if you only want to work 1 day a week, put that down. How much money you want to make. I always want you to set your financial goal. What is your best case scenario in year 1, in year 3, in year 5? Just think about like what your fantasy goals are. What would be the cream of the crop? And don't worry about, how you're going to get there. We're going to talk about that in some later steps. So step 2 is create your fantasy goals. Step 3 is to streamline. So this is the part where you're just going to choose 3 to 5 of those goals. You're going to choose those goals and you're going to make them measurable. So what does measurable mean? It means that you're going to say something like, I am going to make $1,000 a month selling online programs. So very detailed, very clear. It's measurable. You can check on that goal. So all of your 3 to 5 goals needs to be something that's measurable, something you can check on. If you only want to work 10 hours a week in your business, then you need to say, I want to work 10 hours a week on my business for, the next 6 months. And then I want to work 5 hours a week on my business for the last, quarter of the year. It just needs to be measurable. It has to have a measuring stick on it. Why? Because when we get ready to look at it again, we have to know whether we achieved it or not. And if you do something like, I want to make enough money for me to be comfortable, or I want to have enough time for date night, it's just not measurable. It's just not enough measure to it. So you want to make sure that you create a measurable goal. Then now it's time to strategize and to plan. Now, this is the big part, and this is the how of you achieving those goals. And so you're going to look at where you currently are, which is number one, your evaluation. You're going to look at your fantasy goals, just to, give you some zhuzh. Then you're going to look at the 3 to 5 goals that you streamline, that you definitely are going to achieve this year with the measurements. And you're going to figure out how you're going to get there. So an example that I used earlier was, you want to make $1,000 a month selling online courses. What does that mean? Are your courses $100 each? If they are, that means that you need 10 customers to reach $100 each. That means you need to get 10 people to buy your course at $100 each. This is your strategy and your plan. So if you know you have to sell to 10 people, then you know that you might need to reach out to 100 people. You might need to reach out to 1,000 people. This is where you looking back at your evaluation of what you've done in the past is going to be super helpful. But if you haven't done anything in the past, then this is where you just think realistically and you just say, hey, I know that I talked to 100 people in a week about my business online, or I can reach 100 people. And this is how I'm going to achieve those 10 customers at $100 each. You have to come up with a plan in your head and a strategy to attract those customers if you're in a sales-based business. Even if you're in a service-based business, even if you're not charging for your services, but you want to have 50 people attend a show because you have grant money for it, you still have to strategize and plan on how you're going to achieve that goal. Now, when I was early in my business, I didn't do this. I just thought that, customers were going to come out the air. If I posted, then they're going to come. Or if I pass out flyers, they were going to come. But you really, really have to strategize, because if you strategize and you plan it, then it's kind of a no-brainer and you will always win. You always will win if you know you have to sell 10 cakes at $25 this month, and where are you going to get those customers? Your plan can even break down. So that means that if I need to get 10 customers a month, I need to try to get 3 customers a week. And then by the end of the month, I'll already have my customers, even if I fall short a couple of those weeks. So that's part of it. This in your strategy and your plan, you want to think about support. And again, this is the how you're going to get things done. So do you need a social media manager? Do you need an accountant to help you figure it out? Do you need a web design? What do you need to get these 10 customers through the door? And that's part of your strategy and your plan. And if you make sure that you do that for each one of your goals, then you're not just kicking your goals around. Like, I'll give you a personal example. If you say you're going to work out 3 to 5 times a week, and you set that's your measurable goal, that I'm going to work out this year 3 to 5 times a week, then how are you going to do that? Are you going to the gym? Are you getting a trainer? Like, that's part of the strategy and plan, because you're not just going to up and work out. You've got to figure out what time you're going to work out. You're going to figure out where you're going to work out. You're going to figure out how that works out with your schedule. So that's what I mean by strategize and plan. That's step 4. And that I think is the most important step, because if you figure out the how you're going to do it, then you're more than likely going to be able to do it. Then the last step 5, is what we always don't do. I have a hard time doing it myself. I have to make sure that I set myself reminders, because step 5 is checking in. So you've made these amazing goals and you figured out how you're going to set those, how you're going to achieve those goals, and what you're going to do to get to those goals, but then you don't check back on them. You should always have a way to check back in. Sometimes you might need an accountability partner. You guys can check in on your goals together. Sometimes you might need a coach for the check-in, and the coach is going to be saying, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? But no matter what, you have to check on your goals. You need to check on them weekly. You need to check on them monthly. You need to check on them, because if it's a goal for the year and you wait till November to even pay attention if you're doing it or not, then you don't have an opportunity to set yourself back on track. You also need to do that because sometimes you have to tweak the game. If you decided that the way for you to achieve going to getting your workout done was going to the gym, and then your gym closed or your trainer left, then you've got to check in and fix that so that you are still achieving your goal and you're still in place. So you want to make sure that you check in. Now, part of the check-in, I say you might have to tweak the plan. Don't change the plan. I say this all the time to, to my friends. It's a good plan. Don't change the plan. Don't change the business. Don't reset it in the middle, midstream. You've got to give yourself an opportunity to actually achieve the goals. A month is not long enough. You have to be consistent and you have to do it for a while, which is why it's important to check in. Now, you can tweak something, you can fix something, slightly or whatever. So if the plan is to work out three to 5 times a week and your trainer goes missing, that means you can give yourself 2 weeks to get a new trainer. That's a tweak. A change is, I'm not doing a trainer at all anymore. I'm going to strictly work out at home. And you're not going to work out at home. So that's an easy personal example. But even for business, if you're not getting those 10 clients a week, if you're only getting 5 clients a week, then your check-in and your tweak is going to have to be, well, how am I getting those 5 clients? How did I get those 5 clients? What did I do? Maybe I need to ramp up and repeat that process just a little bit more so that you can do that a little bit more. And so that's the important part of checking in. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to go back over real quick the steps. So the very first step is to evaluate, determine where you are. The second step is to create fantasy goals. That is your best case scenario. Then you want to streamline and choose 3 to 5 goals and make them measurable. Then you want to strategize and plan. That's the how. That's the how you're going to get those goals done. And last and definitely not least, you want to check in. Either check in with an accountability partner or a coach, or have a process for you to check in on yourself. And I hope this was helpful. Please like this, subscribe to my YouTube page. Visit SamaraMichelle.com, where you can find different resources and all of my courses and workshops and things that you can do to connect with me. We are on Facebook and Instagram, and I hope to help you more and more in your business for the years and years to come. But go ahead and set those goals so you can be ready, and check in with me if you want to. Again, I'm Samara Michelle, and I am so happy that you spent this time with me today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day.